Welcome to a new update. Today we're talking about the price action of Bitcoin, which is doing really fine at this point as we are currently at $42,000. 1 year ago we were at $16,000 to $20,000 and currently we are at 42. We are into a bull cycle as well. So in this update we're going to talk about that. We're going to have an update in which we're going to look at the scenarios for the upcoming months. But before we continue, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Also, we are live with the consultancies, so if you are looking for assistance on your portfolio, make sure to check out our website. And additionally, this video is sponsored by Bybit. This is my go-to derivatives exchange where I'm trading my own assets. So if you don't have any account yet, make sure to do it there because they have the best liquidity in the markets. And they have a large amount of altcoins, of which many of them have been doing really well, and those are meme coins, RATs, SATs, VINU, INU, BONK. They have all been providing a lot of momentum. And what I would like to say is that if you are trading these assets, make sure to do this with a very low amount of money because the risks involved in trading those assets are significant. So if you're trading them, that is definitely possible, but do it with a low percentage of your entire portfolio. When we're looking at the markets, technically we are having a relatively boring week in the sense that, and I'll be diving into the higher time frames in a little bit, but a relatively boring week in the fact that we have created the high during the week before and Tuesday, and we had another peak later in the week. So this is a profit-taking week. We had a big week when it comes to macroeconomic events. We had CPI, we had the FOMC, we had the Fed with no rate hike, and we had some more PPI data and also some data regarding PMI and the strength of the economy in the US. And we also had a ledger hack, which was, or apparently a ledger hack, which was a case for the markets to consolidate. And in this case, we can see that the markets have been seeing a tremendous breakout, but approaching an event like the ETF might be a case that we have seen the most of the upside. The question is, what do I mean with that actual statement, and why did I create the fact that we are having a range high and a range low? The fact is that since the likelihood of the ETF started to increase, we had a pretty big and heavy upwards momentum taking place from the beginning of October. This run basically started from $26,000 and without any correction it continued to rally to 44,000. Currently we're at 42, but overall we're up approximately 70 to 80%, which means that after such a run, especially if you're not yet into the euphoria of the bull cycle, but in general the indicators on lower time frames start to go into over acceleration. So this means that the RSI and all those other indicators are getting into the red zones, which means that those are going to be arguments for people to take profits, to start selling their positions or to switch their entire position overall. So if you have a basket of crypto assets within your entire portfolio and Bitcoin all of a sudden pops by 80%, you will start to take profit. And additionally, the argument to start entering the markets are lower than when the price is at $26,000. So there will be less participants joining the markets at this stage, through which there is a significant likelihood that the markets are a little bit overheated. There's profit taking place, and there's probably going to be a little bit more consolidation rather than continuation of the upwards momentum. So in this case, after such a run, it's very likely. Additionally, when we see this entire structure, the ETF is going to take place in a few weeks from now. It's holiday season. So you'll probably see the momentum switching a little bit. So the closer you get to the actual event, the lower the volatility will start to become, as it's a buy the rumor, sell the news event. And probably most of the applicants for the ETF are looking for the approval, but have their positions being built up already because they have been doing that prior to the holiday season. So all those arguments combined, and yes, when we talk about the ETF, there's going to be a large positive inflow afterwards. So we are into the institutional cycle. We're going to see Ethereum ETFs too. We're going to see more. But when we look at the Bitcoin ETF, I think that we are currently looking at a case that for now, short term, we are having a peak of momentum and of volatility, which means that I've constructed the fact that we are having a range high, range low, maybe for the coming period. This scenario is invalidated if either of the two breaks. So why did I create this entire range? Well, first of all, the markets tend to have a pre-halving run towards the 618, or in this case the 35 to 382 Fibonacci, which means that a peak towards 50k is definitely possible. The other reasoning behind this is the fact that we had this range taking place prior to the breakdown. So by breaking above 30k, we broke back into this range, which is very similar to the range that we constructed in 2016. But that means that if we break in this range, we probably take the liquidity above this high in the coming period and then need to consolidate. If we break 50k, I think we're going to break the all-time high. But overall, if we test 50k and test the highs here, it is also very likely that when the event of the ETF goes away, we're going to have corrections to anywhere in the ballpark of 35 to 39k, which then becomes the range low, and then you're going to have a period of consolidation, which means that the ETF has a lot of impact, the halving has a lot of impact. We probably are going to have a case where we bounce towards the range high, drop, have another test, drop, and then we just continue. Which brings me towards the higher time frame picture, which is basically this. Pre-halving, we've got a pump. After that, we're going to have a consolidation taking place, and then we just consolidate into a range until the end of the year, and then we start to break the all-time highs and have the parabolic run, which we compare 2021 or 2017 with. So at this point, 2024 is probably not going to be a year where we break the all-time highs. If we do, and to be fair, currently we are having altcoins that are breaking into numbers that usually you don't see that at this stage of the cycle. So it can be wrong, and the thesis is invalidated once we start to continue rallying and don't have a pre-halving crash. So then you probably have this, and the peak of the run is going to be earlier than what we usually see in a 4-year cycle. But at this point, I think that this is a valid scenario that we probably are going to consolidate, and then we start to run up, have the final consolidation correction, consolidate in a sideways pattern before we start to break to the upside. Now, how can you enter the markets? Well, it's very clear that at this point you need to look into lower time frames. So in this case, if we have a lower time frame take of this low, we go to 39k, perhaps you're going to find yourself into entry spots. If you're looking for a more investment type of approach for Bitcoin, I think you're looking at a case where you want to see the range high test, have a 20 to 30% correction, just like we have been seeing here, and then we can start bouncing back up. And that is when you want to get entries in the markets. Always avoid taking entries during momentum, because those are the periods to actually buy into day trades. If you're looking for investments, you're looking for larger scale corrections taking place, and those will occur if you like it or not. Tomorrow I'll talk about altcoins and have a longer update. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Ciao.